Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Love and Courageous. I'm your host, Demetris, and today I'll be speaking about the Supreme Court trying to ban homelessness. So, back in April, the Supreme Court is trying to make a decision if people should be punished for being homeless. The case took place in the rural Oregon town of Grants Pass, which is a city in Oregon. And in this city, they started fining people $295 for sleeping outside, even though there is not enough homeless shelters for people in the city. There's only one overnight shelter for adults. Now, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals blocked the camping ban due to finding that it is unconstitutional to punish people for sleeping outside when there is no adequate shelter space. So the city Grant Pass appealed to the Supreme Court, arguing that the ruling left it a few good options. The lawyer DNA Evangelist, who is representing the city Grants Pass, has said, I quote, "It really has made it impossible for cities to address growing encampments, and they're unsafe, unhealthy, and problematic for everyone, especially those who are experiencing homelessness." Now, the city is also trying to challenge a lawsuit named Martin versus Boise that was passed back in September of 2018. The decision was made by the U.S. Court of Appeals in response to a lawsuit that was made by six homeless plaintiffs against the city of Boise of Idaho regarding the city's anti-camping act back in 2009. So, what the Martin versus Boise lawsuit means is that homeless people cannot be punished for sleeping outside on public property in the absence of adequate alternatives. People who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness, at least in the Ninth Circuit, can sleep without facing criminal punishment. Now, this lawsuit was issued by the San Francisco based Ninth Circuit, and it also applies to the non Western states in its jurisdiction. Now, however, the Supreme Court did decline the challenge. Now, however, if that decision was overturned, advocates did say that it would make it a whole lot easier for cities to deal with homeless people by arresting and finding them rather than helping them get shelter or housing. Now, a campaign and communications director for the National Homeless Law Center, Jesse Rabinowitz, said, I quote, "In Grants Pass and across America, homelessness has grown because more and more hardworking people struggle to pay rent, not because we lack ways to punish people sleeping outside. Local laws prohibiting sleeping in public spaces have increased at least 50% since 2006. Now, the case comes in place after homelessness in the country has grown by 12% since rent has constantly been increasing, and also since there has been a decrease in coronavirus pandemic assistance. Now, due to a federal report, it has been said 4 in 10 people who are homeless sleeps outside. More than 650,000 people are estimated to be homeless. Now, the people that are affected the most are people of color, seniors, and also LGBTQ plus people. Now, two out of four states in the country's largest homeless population, Washington and California, are in the West. Now, officials in the cities such as Los Angeles and San Francisco said that they did not want to punish people simply because they are forced to sleep outside, but that cities need the power to keep growing encampments in check. Now, the district attorney in Sacramento of California, Tin Ho, made a comment and said, I never wanted to criminalize homelessness, but I want to be able to encourage people to accept services and shelter. Now, San Francisco says it has been blocked from enforcing camping regulations because the city does not have enough shelter space for its full homeless population. To actually provide shelter for homeless people, the city is saying that the estimated cost will be $1.5 billion. They said, I quote, these encampments frequently block sidewalks, prevent employees from cleaning public thoroughfares, and create health and safety risks for both the unhoused and the public at large. City workers have also encountered knives, drug dealing, and belligerent people at encampments, which just means aggressive people. Now, the Democratic California governor, Gavin Newsom, and other cities urged the High Court to keep some legal protections in place while reining in overreach by lower courts. The Justice Department also backed the idea that people should not be punished for sleeping outside when they have nowhere else to go. But they also added that the Grant Pass ruling should be tossed out because Ninth Circuit went wrong by not defining what it means to be involuntarily homeless. Another person that had something to say was Ed Johnson, who represents people living outside, and Grant Pass as director of litigation at the Oregon Law Center, said, I quote, public encampments are not good places for people to live, but enforcement of camping bans often makes homelessness worse by requiring people to spend money on fines rather than housing or creating an arrest record that makes it harder to get an apartment. Public officials should focus instead on addressing shortages of affordable housing so people have places to live. It's frustrating when people who have all the power throw up their hands and say, there's nothing we can do. People have to go somewhere. Now, Sacramento, California has spent $24 billion to tackle homelessness over the past 5 years, but has not kept track of how the money has been spent to improve homelessness. And homelessness has become one of the most frustrating issues in the country's most popular state. An estimate of 171,000 people are homeless in California. This makes up roughly 30% of homeless people in the U.S. Now, despite billions of dollars that has been spent on more than 30 homeless and housing programs during the years of 2018 and 2023. California does not have reliable data to fully understand why homelessness has not improved in a lot of the cities, according to a state auditor's report. And in the report, it also includes that the state must do more to assess the cost effectiveness of its homelessness programs. Now, the audit analyzed 5 programs that received a total of $13.7 billion in funding. Out of the 5 programs, 2 of them are only likely to cost effective. So, one of the programs is where the hotel and motel rooms are converted into housing. And then one of the other programs is where it provides housing assistance to prevent families from becoming homeless. So, under the program that converts hotel and motel rooms that costs $3.6 billion is a part of Governor Gavin Newsom homelessness plan. The average cost of a room is at least 2.5 times cheaper than building a new home. The Second program, which is the housing assistance, has received $760 million over the past 5 years. And this gives an average of $12,000 to $22,000, depending on what county a low income family stays in to help them keep their home. And that's only a fraction of roughly $50,000 that California has spent on people once they become homeless. Now, the remaining three other programs that has received a total of $9.4 billion since 2020 could not be evaluated on how this money has been spent to improve homelessness in California due to the lack of data. The Democratic State Senator Dave Ortiz, who has requested the audit last year after touring a large homeless encampment in San Jose. He said the report depicts a data desert and shows an unsettling lack of transparency at every level. Despite the auditor's office professionalism and best efforts, they are at this time unable to draw conclusions about things like whether or not overhead is appropriate or too high. The Republican state senator Roger Niello also has something to say. He said, I quote, the lack of accountability is troubling. California is facing a concerning paradox. Despite a exorbitant amount of dollars spent, the state homeless population is not slowing down. These audit results are a wake-up call for a shift towards solutions that prioritize self-sufficiency and cost effectiveness. Now, there are other things that the audit has found out. Another one is that the California Interagency Council on Homelessness, which oversees the implementation of the homelessness programs, has not tracked spending or whether the programs were working since June of 2021. The council has no consistent method to collect data for these programs. And it also does not verify the accuracy of the data submitted by the district. Also, they continue by saying the state database includes deleted records and test entries and some data on the number of program participants that might have been overstated. So, the council, which lawmakers created back in 2017 to help fight homelessness, has only reported on homelessness spending once, according to the audit. And the report says, I quote, without reliable and recent data on this spending, the state will continue to lack complete and timely information about the ongoing costs and associated outcomes of its homelessness programs. Now, the council did say local governments also need to step up and continue by saying the state auditor's findings highlight the significant progress made in recent years to address homelessness at the state level, including the completion of a statewide assessment of homelessness programs. But it also underscores a need to continue to hold local governments accountable, who are primarily responsible for implementing these programs and collecting data on outcomes that the state can use to evaluate program effectiveness. The state auditor also reviewed homelessness spending in San Jose and also San Diego. It found that both have failed to effectively track the revenue, so basically how much money is coming in, and the spending plan, so how the money is going to be spent to help fight homelessness. Now, there were some reporters that were interviewing people that were homeless and basically asking them, like, how did they get here? And there was one man in Northern California. He has been living in his car for 3 years after going a bone cancer diagnosis and having to end up paying $450,000 in medical bills. The illness and treatment has kept him from returning to his job. And there was another woman, she lost her husband due to pulmonary embolism. So after her husband passing, she had no income. They didn't have life insurance or savings. So she has been living outside. So I'm just gonna give a little bit of input on this. I really don't have much to say, but to say number one, they do need to do better with improving the homelessness because number one, rent is high. And it is hard for a lot of people out here. I know some people, they're working literally like two jobs. Some people are working full time and working one part time or two part time jobs, which I don't even see how you can work a full time and two part time jobs. I don't see how some people are doing it, but some people are finding a way. But also, I just feel like the fact that you have all this funding and y'all are not putting it to use. Like, that's the issue because in Oregon, they only have one homeless shelter. How you only have one homeless shelter? That don't even make sense. They should have more than that. And California don't even have that much. So it's like I'm confused. Like, y'all should have more homeless shelters or, public housing. They should have more. But also, I will say this is another reason why honestly, like, we have to vote when it comes to midterm elections because if anybody have not listened to my midterm election episode, go listen to it because I have broken down on what each one of those politicians and these higher positions on exactly what they do because it's important that we have the right people up in to make sure they do what the heck they're supposed to do. Because clearly it seems like they ain't doing nothing, but you're trying to ban homelessness. Well, I don't see how you're going to ban it, which that number one is unethical because what you're saying is we're not going to help you, but hey, it's illegal. So pay the $295 fine, which is just total BS because how are you going to charge them for being homeless? Everybody's not homeless just to be homeless. I mean, honestly, like, it's just unethical. I feel like if people are going to portray, especially a lot of these politicians try to act like, oh, like we're united and all this other shenanigans they be saying. If you want to act like we're so united, then you shouldn't be arresting people when they're homeless. If anything, you should be building homes and, like homeless shelter so they can have somewhere to go. Because arresting them, that don't make sense. A lot of people are homeless due to many different reasons. Like I just listed two. Another one is that some people lose their jobs. Okay. Um, Rent is super high, so it's hard for a lot of people to pay bills. Not only that, these jobs are not paying well. Also, some people do not have family. Okay, some people, they probably was the only child. Some people, their parents, both of them are deceased. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't have any family or friends. So it's kind of really hard to just be like, hey, like, here's somebody up. Can I stay here with you, for a little while? It's kind of a little hard, but also you do have some people, their parents might be alive, but everybody don't have a good relationship with their parents neither. So that's another issue. But one thing I will advise is that, like, for people out there that are struggling, I mean, you could get like a roommate, or if you do have a good relationship with, like your siblings or like your parents, anybody in your family that you can stay with for a little while. I mean, I would suggest that. Also getting another part time job, maybe doing a little side hustle. I don't know because like some people are already doing side hustles. Like some people are doing DoorDash, which um some people are not really giving tips at all. Some people are giving tips, but they're not that great. So that's another issue. Like if you're doing DoorDash, you're putting all these miles on your car, you're using all the gas. It's not really helping if nobody's tipping you. So I feel like it's just a lot of issues. Like some of these jobs out here not paying well. You might not be getting enough hours. I mean, rent is high. You gotta make three times as much. A lot of these jobs, they don't pay you that much to make three times as much. So it's a little hard. If you don't have family or friends, it's hard. So it's, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but the system is just rigged. It's terrible. The politicians don't care. So if you don't have that support from your family, friends, the jobs are not helping. They're not paying well, and also the people that run this country that are in charge, they also don't care. I mean, you're a little screwed. So that's the issue there. But yeah, I would just say like honestly, like if you could move back home, hey, move back home, save you some money and everything. Or if you can get you a roommate, cause like where I used to stay, and I think honestly this would really help out considering the fact that I know they said that the most people that are really affected are people that of color. Also, you know, like the gay community. But I will speak on this for like people of like the color community, for example. Like where I used to stay, the people that was living underneath me, it was a 3 bedroom apartment and there were literally like 7 of them living in there. So I was like, okay, that's a lot of people in just a 3 bedroom apartment. What is, y'all gotta be on bunk beds or something because that's too many of y'all to be up in a 3 bedroom apartment. That crap is too small. But I mean, hey, look, if it helps, if it helps you and you can save up and everything, hey, do what you gotta do. Cause I mean, like I said, it is hard out here, um, for a lot of people. Like I work full time. Thank God I do make a little decent. I can make more to be honest, but thank God. I mean, I'm making it. So I just feel sorry for the people that are homeless, but like I said, like everybody don't have that support, and so that's the issue. Like you don't know everybody's situation. It's hard here for everybody because I know on YouTube, like I was reading the comment section. Some people were saying that, oh, like some of them on drugs and all this other stuff. That's why they homeless. Because I know some people, like, they really do mistreat people that are homeless. You have people that look down on them, but I don't see how you can look down on people like that because you don't know their situation. Even if the person was on drugs, that don't mean you gotta treat them like that. But just because someone homeless don't mean they're on drugs. Like, you have people that are on drugs, okay, that have money. I mean, look at a lot of these celebrities. They're not poor. They're not homeless, but they're on drugs. A lot of them are. So, I mean, the fact that somebody said that ignorant comment, I was just like, you are so ignorant. Like, just because someone is homeless don't necessarily mean they're on drugs. You be homeless due to a lot of things. So, I mean, but like I said, that's all I can really say. But I really can't like feel like I can really say much on the politicians because I mean I'm not trying funny. Like one thing I will say in America is don't ever rely on the politicians, even though that is their job to like help fight homelessness, which it most definitely is, which they definitely need to do better at. But one thing I will say is don't ever really rely on the system. Like always just look, work hard, do what you gotta do. Don't ever expect nothing because I'm telling you, they have let people down so much. Like it's ridiculous, but it's just very unethical to just try to make homelessness illegal. I just think that's the most stupidest thing ever. But I feel like they're just doing it on purpose to hurt people because the main people that are affected are people of color. So I feel like that's exactly why they're doing it. Like just be like, oh well, you know what? We're gonna find ways to get money off of you and to put you in jail and knowing that they're already homeless, they already can't afford, you know, a place to stay. So they got to come up with this 295 dang on dollars and any other, you know, court fees they have. Cause this one lady, she said she spent over 5,000 dang on dollars in court fees, which I was just thought that was just ridiculous because she's homeless. And she said that she don't even make enough to afford the public housing. Because the public housing, it's in California, if I'm not mistaken. It starts off at $1,000, which to me, okay, I know we're dealing with inflation, but that is kind of a little high, for people that are homeless. That is pushing it. Like I can see if they can go a little lower than that, but like I said, like this is inflation, so I mean I don't know, but that is a little high. I'm not trying to be funny. So they have not made a full decision yet on whether banning homelessness will take effect. So we won't really know until the end of June. That's when the Supreme Court will finally make the decision. But that is really all that I have to say. I just hope that everybody stays safe and, look, just do what you gotta do. But I'm about to get into the Black History fact for today. So for today, Black History fact, I'll be speaking about King Taharka, the black man that ruled over Egypt and Nubia between 690 through 664 BCE, which is the 25th dynasty reign. King Taharka was one of the greatest Napidan Nubian kings. After his father, whose name was King Pi, conquered Egypt in battle, King Taharka united the two kingdoms to form the largest African empire. This empire spanned from the fifth Nile cataract in Nubia throughout all of Egypt and even up into the Middle East and Palestine. King Taharka is given credit for bringing peace and stability to Egypt, resuming building projects and arts in Egypt and Nubia, which were lost for centuries. Now, biblical scholars believe he is referenced in the Bible book of Kings and Isaiah as the great king of Cush who waged war against Sennacherib, who was the king of Assyria. Now, there are a couple of monuments to King Taharka. And back in January of 2015, a great tomb sanctuary to the Egyptian god Osiris was unearthed in Upper Egypt. Its construction was traced back to the 25th dynasty during King Taharka reign. So that is all for today. And for my next episode, I will be speaking on mental health awareness. I know it's June, but I still want to talk about it. So that'll be my next episode. So thank you everyone for listening to my podcast, and I hope you all have a lovely day.